Welcome to the Freedom Founder Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Duggar. Now, I have a guest today that's going to talk with us a little bit about marketing, a little bit about her experience in that area, which she has a plethora of. So I'd like to welcome my guest today. I should have asked you before, but is it Anika?
Anika.
Anika. All right. So everyone, make sure you get that right. Anika Jackson is joining us today. So thank you for joining us and sharing some of your story.
Thank you, Zach, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. I love to hear a little bit about some of the experiences that you've had. I know you have a diverse experience base in marketing. So,
Mhm.
could you share with our listeners a little bit about some of your experiences, what you've done, just kind of in summary?
In summary, that is, yes, I will try. Well, I grew up in Lawrence, Kansas, and going to Kansas City to my dad's house to enjoy the bigger city and all that it had to
Mhm.
offer. And I really loved music. And that is what got me into marketing in the first place. From an early age, I was always around a lot of cultures. My mom is Thai and Laotian. My dad was an Air Force brat, if you will, and traveled all over the world. So I had all these different world cultures and this appreciation that my family brought to us. And through that, I realized the power of collaboration and connection and community. So when I was a teenager, I started going dancing and had a fake ID, just saying I was 18 because I wanted to go dancing. Not, I didn't care about drinking or anything. And that slowly evolved into, hey, we want you to start promoting for us from different DJs and different venues that were all ages. And so
Okay.
that is my first foray into marketing and learning how to take these skills that I already had and this passion I already had for collaboration, connection, community, promoting great things that people were doing and start doing it for other people. That quickly turned into having my own events company, doing live events, club nights, again, based on those
Mhm.
pillars, moving to Chicago, working for a marketing firm, working in the club scene, moving to Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Houston, um, primarily because I wanted to change and for job opportunities. And some of the highlights where I started out in experiential marketing, it quickly turned into then how do we help advertisers create custom programs that can reach our readers of magazines in different ways. I launched a music magazine called Revolution. This is dating me. This is 23 years ago. And we did really fun stuff, summer tour bus, DJs all around the country. Again, creating these connection points for people and also for our sponsor brands. And then I launched official Xbox magazine when Xbox first came out. And so I got to do the same thing and got to really start cutting my teeth, not just on the marketing side, but the sales side and how we talk to potential advertisers about what we were doing, help them make the connections with audiences. And then I went into the world of PR. So that's a very quick summary.
Mhm.
I've worked in house, I've worked for myself multiple times as an entrepreneur. And I've always been able to use these skills, even if it wasn't under the guise of a marketing PR agency, which I've also had a couple of, then it was still using those skills to help other small businesses, to promote my own businesses, to promote other brands. And that's really what I'm still about today. And I think that's the cornerstone of any good marketing campaign.
Yeah, I love that. You have such a nice base of experience and in just different areas that you're able to get involved with and jump in and support. I mean, from Xbox to music to live experiences to PR, I think that allows you that ability to then really work with individuals in their areas that are often very diverse. Entrepreneurs work in such diverse, different jobs, different markets, I guess, and different types of businesses. So I think
Yeah.
that's a great foundation to start from. You did mention three things: collaboration, connection, community.
Yes.
I think that was something I wanted to emphasize, and it sounds like that's something that is a big part of what you see in marketing as an area of emphasis.
It is. And it's still what I do today. I work as VP of Public Relations and Operations for full capacity marketing. I also teach grad school at USC Annenberg. And I have a podcast called Your Brand Amplified. And it's all based on those principles For full capacity marketing, we work with entrepreneurs, we work with workforce development, and we work with educational institutions and adult education institutions. And you have to create collaborations between different partners to get work done, to get the message out to the right audience. You have to create those connection points for your ideal consumer, customer, whether it's a student you want to come to your school, whether it's a business that could find interns or their next employee through workforce development, or whether it's as an entrepreneur, you're wearing so many hats and your whole goal, right, is sales and getting your message out. And so you have to create those connections and collaborations to create the right community. And that's also how I approach teaching. I love teaching and I love sharing with the students. Right now, this semester, I'm teaching PR and branding. So we're really talking about who are you as a brand yourself, and how do you use the way that you position yourself to then understand how to position your future clients. And that's something I come across a lot in the world of marketing and PR. A lot of entrepreneurs start their businesses because they want to become entrepreneurs. They maybe are mid-level professionals who are tired of that and ready to try something new, maybe have a little more freedom and flexibility. You're the freedom founder, so you're very familiar with this. Or, it's people who have a passion, but they might have a passion and be able to be a really good baker or really good at what they do, but that doesn't mean they have the other skills around that to know how to run a business, right? So that's where we always go back to brand basics. Who are you? What's your purpose, your mission, your vision? How is that serving people? So then how do you find the ideal people to partner with, to invest in,
Yeah.
to invest in you, and to then eventually become your ideal consumers?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And then there's definitely that contingent of people that, like you said, are getting tired of that W-2 role and they just want
Yeah.
that flexibility and freedom. But it's not all sunshine and roses on the other side of that fence either. And there's a lot of learning that needs to occur. So being able to come alongside of someone, a professional that can help them establish the plan for that collaboration, the plan for that connection in their community to build up their business would be essential in that process. I mean, some people can innately do that. They can
Right.
do a little bit of that because they're already connected in part of their community and that they are going to be operating in.
Yeah.
But many of us need that additional support to be able to step outside of our own little box and get in there with somebody else.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your brand Amplified. You mentioned your podcast,
Mhm.
and if I'm not mistaken, you also do some coaching or working on
Yeah.
establishing that alongside of it.
Thank you. Thanks for teeing that up. Yes. So your brand amplified was originally the tagline for my PR
Mhm.
company. I quickly realized that PR wasn't what a lot of people needed, right? People were like, I have a logo, I have a website, I set up my social media, I'm ready for PR. Said, but do you know who your ideal customers are so that we can make sure you're getting in front of them? Do we know what story we're selling? Are you comfortable speaking and sharing your story? Because today, most people, unless you're a big multinational conglomerate company, people want to know who they're buying from because they are investing in you as a brand. Your product and service are part of who you are, right? And there are a lot of people who aren't comfortable sharing their journey, their story, but sharing that and sharing their why is so much richer for everybody. It gives the marketing and PR pros more stuff to go out and pitch with, more storylines and angles, whether it's you're doing an advertising campaign, you're pitching to a journalist, or a podcast, whatever it might be. And so I quickly realized that there was a hole in the market for people who might not have the money to join a big agency, right? Or pay for a big agency, but they still needed to understand this for themselves. So first I started Your Brand Amplified, the podcast, so that I could have conversations with people who are entrepreneurs, who are best in class marketers, who are talking, maybe coaches, who talk about how to find your brand narrative, best tools for SEO right now, different tips and tricks and techniques, but also their entrepreneurship journey, because we can all learn from each other. So that started. And then I started the Brand Amplifier. And we have a section for entrepreneurs and one for workforce development education, because there are different sectors and
Mhm.
lightly nuanced messaging. And through that program, I have do it yourself, which is 10 modules with lessons, videos, and homework. So you can literally create your brand blueprint step by step, and then figure out what your marketing messages are, how to create integrated marketing strategies, how you're going to pitch to your ideal customer, client, investor, or journalist, and then create your strategic marketing plan out of that. And then what do you do with all that material once you have it? So there's the do it yourself, there's a done with you, which comes with the coaching, and then done for you, where we also add a landing page and some additional resources to help somebody really hone in on their brand. And what we found is that it doesn't matter where you are in the life cycle of your business. You could be a complete newbie. You could be just thinking about starting. You could be 10 or 20 years into your journey. All of those people have gone through this process with me and discovered something that they wanted to change or pivot in their messaging, because they realized, oh, I'm not reaching the people I really want to reach. I want to reach this other audience, right? Or so I need to retool and reframe my messaging. Or, oh, I am not living up to my brand values. I'm not showing the purpose and vision and mission that I wanted to show. So how do I pivot my business to reflect that? Or they just get the business basics. And so that's what came out of this process of working with different clients and working with a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses. And I want to make it accessible for people. So we're also setting up a whole series of free webinars for people that will be coming starting in November of 2023. So I'm really excited about that. I feel like the more people who know the basics, the better, and the more people who feel empowered in their journeys. And if I can help that, whether it's with a free consultation or a free webinar, listening to my podcast, going on other people's podcasts, or if they go through the program, all of those things are things I'm trying to offer up to, again, create that connection, collaboration, and community.
Yes, and you really are establishing that well. I really like that you also are working on that, the free webinars to just get people where they're at, because some people might not be at that place yet where they can and they have the resources to invest in the additional options. But
Right.
then even still, you have that option of, let's take it at your pace. You do it. Here's the resources. Run with it. Take it and run with it.
Yeah.
Or for those like myself who probably need someone to handhold them a little bit more, we're going to do it with you. So we're going to make sure that you're accomplishing these tasks and moving forward. Or for someone that really just wants to go all in, but they're focused on these other things, to have someone really come in and do it for them. I think that
Right.
is so remarkable. I love that.
Mm.
I talk with some people who they focus just on one aspect of their coaching specifically, and to be able to come at it from multi different ways so that people can access it no matter where they're at. Like you mentioned, a complete newbie or somebody who's been at this business for a long time, knowing that they can still gain from some aspect of the coaching, of that support, of the resources is key in that process of continued growth and development, constant or continuous, never-ending improvement. I
Yeah.
think that's the term I've heard, is that we all want to be in that state of continuous and never-ending improvement.
You have to be. It's when we make uh, when we don't make mistakes, right? We don't fail as entrepreneurs. We learn something that's going to help us get to the next level. And that's what I think is really important for people to understand too, that we have to be continuous learners and take those, okay, what did I learn from this experience? What am I not going to repeat in my next venture or in the next phase
Yeah.
of my business?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great way to put it too, because there are people who look at their mistakes, their missteps as failures. And in the entrepreneurial space, we can't do that, because if we do, then we'll stop. We'll just quit. We'll give up. So we do need to learn those situations. I think someone had told me they look at them as seminars. I experienced another
I love
seminar,
that.
and that was just another lesson learned in the process of continuing their growth and improvement over time. So that name, your brand amplifier, I just wanted to kind of key in on that amplifier, amplified. Tell me a little bit about what your decision was when you're talking about that and having that be your tagline as well for that PR firm.
Mm, I think it came from that's what I'm all about, right?
Mhm.
Through the three C's. that I
Yep.
bring into the world. I'm really about helping people feel comfortable amplifying themselves and sharing of themselves. And that's not a comfortable space for a lot of people, but it's
Mhm.
such a beautiful thing when it happens. And that is what will get you to the next level in your business. I really
Yeah.
truly feel that. I've seen it with my own stuff. When I'm really true to my values, then more clients, more opportunities open up, right?
Yeah.
And so amplified was a word, but it's almost overused now. But also, I can use it on my socials, amplify with Anika, right? So it's a little bit of alliteration. And then your brand amplified was a way of just phrasing it slightly differently,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
and being able to build from there. And so then that turned into the Brand Amplifier program, which originally was PR incubator. And I realized it's not just
Okay.
about PR and it's not just an incubator. I don't want people to feel insulated and they're
Mhm.
just, I want them to take that and shout it out to the world when they're done and feel that confidence to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a great name. I honestly do.
Thank
Absolutely, and I like that alliteration. I hadn't even thought about that, but I think that
you.
applies very well too. Now, one of the things that I read and that I know is that you are work to empower cause-driven entrepreneurs. And so tell us a little bit about that and what that means for you when you say cause-driven entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. It doesn't mean you're not for profit. I do work with
Mhm.
nonprofits, right? But it means that you have some impact with the work that you do. So if you are a tech startup who is maybe an ed and fintech, what are you bringing to the world? So an example could be you're creating an app with a curriculum that teaches kids and families about credit from an early age, because how many of
Mhm.
us did not get educated on credit, right? When we were young and maybe went to college and wanted that free pizza or that $100 gift card or whatever it is and signed up for our credit cards without really realizing what we were doing. So that platform is called Kitty Credit with K's, Kiddie,
Mhm.
Kredit. And it is a platform for good, but it's not a not for profit. They still are a business that wants to earn revenue, right?
Mhm.
But they still have a really good social component to it where people will get financial literacy education through pandas and through going through exercises and through putting in chores in this app and then getting rewards and having a score that mirrors a FICO score. So they're getting to see it in action and kind of osmosis without really realizing that this is stuff that they're going to be able to take with them for the rest of their lives. Or it could be a healthcare company that has also a social mission of giving back to people who might not have insurance, so taking paid people who can pay cash or pay for insurance and taking some of that revenue and helping other people get their services.
Mhm.
That would be like Holistic Hyperbarics, which is based in the San Francisco Bay Area. And they have an amazing facility. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is something that not a lot of people know about, or it's thought of something only like athletes or really wealthy people can access. But Holistic Hyperbarics has been able to show that you can do programs that help people who might have had a limb amputated because of their diabetic ulcers not have to get amputated by adding this modality and having it increase their oxygen flow. And then it helps them have more energy and they want to eat better and they start exercising and all these other things. So it creates this whole stream of, yeah, we're here to make money. We need to be profitable. We have people we're accountable to. We have to pay our teams, but we can also spend some time over here doing some good in the world.
Yeah, these are great examples. I really like that. And I do see where some people do think of only nonprofits as an organization that are cause driven or that seek to give back. But I think we started to see it a little bit more even on packaging, where somebody will say that certain percentage of this amount that is earned is donated to X cause. And so I think there is that movement towards finding the good that you can do with the income that's generated. So maybe the product and service that they're doing isn't necessarily a specific cause driven, but they're able to take that revenue and reallocate it into other means to be able to provide that give back, that source.
Yeah. Well, even for your new venture, which
Hmm.
I don't know how much you've talked about it on here, but thinking about that, how you could partner
Hmm.
with local nonprofits where
Yeah.
and provide haircuts or makeovers for people in need or people who are trying to get back in the workforce. There's so many things you can do that don't necessarily, they might cost the time of your service, and your
Mhm.
skills, but it doesn't have to be a financial burden to you either. And that's really important because as entrepreneurs, it's really easy to forget. I know that there are people who are really good at putting themselves first in entrepreneurship, but there are many of us who forget, and maybe
Mm.
we pour into our businesses and our teams before we remember that we also are here to make money. so,
Yeah.
think about ways. And again, teaching grad students, I hear every day that they want to see that people have some social good component. It doesn't have to be
Mhm.
huge broadcast. It can be little steps. It can be that you go do ocean or beach cleanup, right?
Mhm.
Or that you make meals for the homeless. It can be a number of things. It doesn't, again, have to come out of your pocketbook, but it just has to show that you have that intention. And that is what the younger millennials, Gen Zs, and the generations after, they're looking for that right up front when they're looking who they're going to purchase from, who they're going to work with.
Yeah, I like that. I like the creativity of that too, that you can be in the collaboration with
Mhm.
others, individuals, other organizations to come alongside you. Maybe it's a service that you're providing that they're willing to provide that financial support to cover the cost of, or doing something that isn't something that requires money, but it requires time.
Yeah,
So I think that that's a great way to look at it. I like that you're empowering and seeking to empower cause-driven entrepreneurs. There's so many in the world, and that there are people who probably, like you said, are not thinking necessarily about their profits always, and they're thinking about just kind of making that difference, and that doesn't always work the way they want it to in the long run. So
right.
being able to come alongside them and to help support that, getting their brand established and getting them out there so that they can continue to build upon and doing good in the world.
Definitely.
Well, let me ask you a question. I like to ask all of my guests.
Okay.
If you were to be handed $1 million today with no restrictions on it, what would you do with that and why?
So many things. So many things. Honestly, first, I'd probably look at personal stuff, make sure there's money
Mhm.
set aside for any further education I want to get and for my daughter. One of my nonprofits that I co founded is called Learn, Grow, Lead. We focus on Cape Coast, Ghana. We have an orphanage, we have organic farming with our partner there, and we pay for kids' education. But it's really hard because we're a small group of volunteers who we take nothing. And it's hard to go back to the same well, right? And ask people to donate when we're impacting maybe a few hundred lives at a time.
Mhm.
And most big organizations like UNICEF or Heifer International, they want you to see much bigger impact, much bigger
Mhm.
scale. But impacting one life, I think, is important. So I would put money in to make sure that, because right now we're about to fundraise to buy the farmland that we've been leasing, so
Mhm.
that then we have self-sufficiency for our partner organization. And then we can say, okay, what other needs do we have in this community? Or there are so many other communities with need, right? So I'd put some money to that.
Yeah.
And then I would also pour into scholarships for our programs, right? Figuring out how I can get
Mhm.
the message out and help people really establish who they are personally as brands, professionally as brands, and their businesses as brands so that they're set up for success. It's a step so many people overlook and misstep on. And if you have all this set up in the beginning, it's going to help you figure out everything else on the marketing, PR, advertising, all of that side of the house so much faster and keep you accountable, right?
Yeah.
To going back and making sure that you're staying focused on your mission and your vision and your purpose that you started with.
Yeah, I think that was a great answer. I like that you're not only focused on helping support cause-driven entrepreneurs in the work that you're doing, but you're cause-driven as well. So
Yeah.
it's very clear that in the work you're
Yeah.
doing with nonprofit as well. So yeah, I love to hear about that, and I think that is a good example for others in the space. Just that we have more than just the business in front of us. As an entrepreneur, there you have more time than you realize, you have more capacity than you realize, and you can impact more lives in ways, and like you said, just one life is well worth it. So well, if our guests want to reach out to you or find out more about your programs or the
Mhm.
work that you're doing, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
I love connecting with people on LinkedIn, especially if they have questions and just want to talk through something with marketing PR. Always happy to do a consult. So Anika Jackson on LinkedIn, easy to find. And then fullcapacitymarketing.com. there is a tab that says EFCM. You can click through, find out more about the different program levels. You can click the consult button or the contact us button. A form will come up, and then you can schedule time on Calendly for us to talk about what your needs really are and make sure that it's the right fit for you, whatever it is, whether it's working with us as a client, going through one of the programs, or you just need somebody to just double check what you're doing. You have a couple questions. Always happy to jump on.
Awesome. Anika, you have been a great joy in
Oh, thank
speaking with
you.
today, and I really appreciate that you have that capacity for others and just willing to share your experiences and your collaboration, your connection, your community that you've built over time and all of the experiences that you had. So thank you very much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.